Let's go!
Right on, brother. Take your time. Just happy to be talking to you, man. Like I said the other day, I miss you. Like I know we didn't hang out a lot. I saw your presence online. The time you came over and hung with us, you know, it's like you've always been super cool. I liked you from the moment I saw you standing there at the Goat Horse show. Like, I threw that shirt out, and I'm like, that guy's cool, you know? Like, oh, he's somebody too. He does something else other than just go to shows. I thought it was cool. So it's cool, man.
That, man. I've always appreciated you guys. Like I said, we're like a parallel line. So, and just because I'm gone, that doesn't mean I ain't paying attention, you know?
Yeah, totally, man. Totally.
So let's take it back, not just for Mynas, but like let's just take it back. Period. Like let's talk about you know what got you into guitar and vocals and making music and wanting to do all that kind of stuff.
That's cool, man. I've never been asked that, actually. So that's really cool. Like, that's normally something we like talk about in the band, or like, you know, literally in the band. God, you know what actually I've always liked guitar ever since I was a little kid. I liked the instrument. I liked the way it sounded. I didn't even know what it was, but when I first heard the sound, I thought it was really cool. I had no idea what the sound was. And I kept asking my dad, like, what instrument is that? And, you know, when you're a little kid, you're like 5, you know, it's an instrument. He goes, which one? I'm like, that one. And it's like the music's playing, you know, like you can't do it. So I always liked the sound. And then when I got older, oh God, I want to say when I was about 12, there was this insurgence of guitar happening when I was in middle school. Everybody wanted to play guitar. And one of the kids that lived across the street from me it was a buddy of mine. So I would go over to my buddy's house, and one of the kids had a guitar, and he brought it over, and he started playing Metallica's One, which I'd already been listening to Metallica, and I thought it was so cool that he was playing something I'd heard before. And then he said, you want to try it? And I was like, yeah. And I started playing, and immediately I was hooked. Like I wanted to play, like it was a thing. And that's just kind of how it went, man. Like my buddy's older brother listened to Metallica, so we ended up listening to Metallica. And then that being like the only thing we were listening to, I wanted to learn all that stuff. And it was just like a love for music, metal, and, you know, growing up in an environment of, you know, like I said, there was this insurgence of people playing guitar while you were surrounded by people. So it was kind of like a little community of that. And we just kind of went up through high school, and the guys who really stuck with it, we all kind of kept talking to each other, and we ended up getting into stuff, you know, different genres of metal, because here in the States, you couldn't find metal, like real metal, anywhere unless you reached way back into the 80s, or you had Metallica, or there was Pantera, which I never really got into. I don't know why. A lot of guys I grew up with loved Pantera, and I didn't dig I want to call it like the trashy redneck vibe that kind of came along with the music, because the music was cool. When I first heard Cowboys from Hell, I was like, wow, it's a cool song. And then the rest of the album was kind of okay for me. It didn't really strike me, but, you know, not to go off on that rant, you know, we're talking about coming up with guitar, but like that was kind of what was around. Right. So, you know, I don't know. It's just something I always loved and fell in love with immediately the moment I touched it. So, I mean, I'd practice 6 hours a day after school. I couldn't wait to get home just to play guitar, and, you know, homework kind of got pushed away to play guitar. So it's just that's it, though. I mean, if you're asking, like, you know, my friend's buddy had it, I picked it up, fell in love with it, and it just stuck.
So Metallica was always definitely like there in the background.
Yeah, and the reason for that is my mom. I had to live with my mom. My dad was into like heavier music, but it was more like rock and roll, Led Zeppelin, or he loved Pink Floyd, which was very depressing music to me. I couldn't I always felt real shitty listening to his music. It didn't feel good. That or he loved, and I mean loved, heavy metal from the 80s, you know, like Rat, stuff like that, which I didn't, as a child, I hated. I mean, like, I hated the way that sounded. And I, as far as I was concerned, there was two types of music: the stuff that he listened to, and pop, which my mom listened to.
Yeah.
She listened to Police, Sting, like Madonna, Michael Jackson. Like, I didn't realize metal existed until I was about 9 years old, and my buddy got a hold of his brother's Black album, and we were sitting in the garage, and he was listening to it, and we were just, yeah, he had his headphones on, and I was just sitting. You know, I had a Walkman. You know, we had tapes back then. I guess I could. I think it's funny saying back then. You know, it was like '94, and God, it's that long ago. But
I know.
he, you know, we were just we were drawing in the garage. Like, I would draw, he would draw, and he goes, "Dude, you got to hear this." And he put on The Unforgiven. He put on The Unforgiven. Let me listen to that song, and I was like, "What is this? This is great." And then he got the boombox out. And we just listened to the music. I had to have that album. After I heard that, and I went and told my mom about it, and she bought it for me, and I broke that tape, man. That's all I listened to over and over again was that Black album. You know, 9-year-old kid, and that's all I had. I mean, I taped that fucker back together so many times. You know, Metallica was the thing, man. Metallica was there from the beginning. It was like that. If it wasn't for Metallica, I wouldn't really care about music as much as I do.
Right. So you didn't identify with a lot of your dad's music or your mom's?
No, not at all. I loved film scores.
Okay.
Like, I loved film, like any movie that had we grew up in the golden age of movies, man. And remember when every movie had a great film score that went with it?
Absolutely.
It wasn't all Hans Zimmer doing all the work. You know what I mean? So yeah, I mean, like the Back to the Future film score or the Terminator theme, you know what I mean? Like, those are just two iconic things that we got to experience growing up.
Absolutely.
I love that. Like, you hear the music, it gives you goosebumps, and that's what I identified with, because everything else was kind of like not fun. And then there's this other. I mean, once I got into Metallica, found out there was more music like Metallica out there. I was like, oh my God, this is great. You know. Yeah. Yeah. I was there. Sorry, I'm like having flashbacks and stuff here. Yeah.
The 90s were a good time, man.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people feel like that anyway, like, the 70s, all the 80s. And like, I firmly believe that they were all good times. You know, it was like, I'm glad that we grew up when we did. You know, like, if we were born like a decade later and the 2000s were our child years,
right?
I'd be a whole different universe, you know.
Right.
And it's hard to imagine, you know, even like not knowing what life was like before, you know.
Yeah. Well, you know, we grew up in the golden era of technology crossover, man. We went from analog to digital growing up. That's what's crazy. Like, we can look back to even our grandparents' time at their technology. We know what that is.
Mm-hmm.
We know what a rotary phone is.
Yep.
You know, we know what all those things that they had were. It's like, you see these little things where they go, "Hey, kid, you know what this is?" And the kid's like 18 years old, and that's not that long ago. He's like, "I don't know what the hell that is. It's a flip phone or something." You know, he's like, never seen it. That's crazy to me. But
yeah, I mean, like, even just a cordless house phone is like a relic now, and it's like,
right.
What?
Yeah.
What's going on?
Right.
But then think about it. Like, I had my first cell phone towards the end of my junior year, and that was 20 years ago. It was like May 2004. I got my first cell phone. So, that was 20 years ago. Oh shit! I've like.
I know.
What?
For me, yeah, it was 22 years ago. Yeah. It's like crazy, man. It's really crazy.
Listen here, you old fuck.
I know.
uh, so that was the guitar part of it. Now, how did you go about finding your voice?
Oh, fuck. This is a story here. So when you start playing an instrument and you start getting kind of proficient with it, you want to start playing with people. And I've been playing 3 months. I was a quick study on the instrument. I picked it up real quick. So I wanted to start playing in a band. And me and two other kids got together, and one of them had a drum kit and the other one had bass. Oh, and we had another guitarist too come in. So we all sat there, we're playing together, and we did like 2 or 3 of these little like BS sessions. This didn't last long either. This is like a, hey, let's get together and jam. It's like, we're going to be big, like these grandiose dreams you have. And we're all sitting in the room one day and they're like, hey, we need a singer. Well, my voice changed overnight. Like it went from when I was 11, I had the little kid voice, and then I got a cold, and then it was this. Okay, so I'm like this prepubescent child with this man's voice, and they were like, "Well, hey, you've got the deepest voice. You should sing." And I was like, "I don't know how to sing. I don't want to sing, and I don't want to stand in front of people and sing." That was like, I didn't want to do that. And they're like, "No, you got to do it." And I went, "Okay." So I started practicing. Well, all I had was Metallica, and that was the only thing to practice to. And I knew the lyrics to some of the songs. Well, to practice, I thought it would be a good idea. So there was an after school class for guitar, and you can go in there and perform with like all the kids take turn performing something. I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. So I picked For Whom the Bell Tolls and I practiced it. And I tried to use my mom as a gauge. Now, my mom is a very honest person.
As any good mom would be, right?
Oh, yeah. So I'm trying to practice this thing. And I go, hey, Mom, come in and listen. And I do the first verse. And she goes, honey, oh, my God. And I'm like, yeah. She goes, you suck. And I was like, crushed, man. Like that crushed. And I kind of wanted to like give up the whole fucking thing right then and there. Like that just tore me apart. And I kind of like, she left the room and I just kind of, I wept, like I've been putting in all this work and I wept. And there was no one there to teach me. So it was like, okay, but I still went into the class and did the song and it sucked. And I was shaking. I was a very shy kid, man. It's like if I had to read a sentence in front of the class, I go, quivery. I would start sweating really bad.
I was shy as fuck too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, yeah. I couldn't even order at a restaurant. Like that's how bad it was. So again, music kind of helped develop my personality. And it's because of that too. It's like, I don't know why, because I was doing all the things I hated to do. I'm standing in front of people. I'm being projected through a PA system. Like, why am I doing this? So I don't know. That's kind of like how the vocals started. Was they said, hey, you got the deepest voice. You should go do it. Okay, I'll go do it. And then that trend kind of kept happening. I never really put myself in as the vocalist until later. We always try to find a vocalist. The biggest problem with vocalists is, everybody makes that joke, LSD, lead singer's disease.
Right.
And fuck, they really have it, dude. It's bad. Like, I mean, they don't want to show up to rehearsal. They don't want to help you write anything. They don't want to get involved. But when they show up, you better be ready for them. And I just ended up taking that role. And I also got criticized a lot for trying to be like James Hetfield. Now, James Hetfield and I guess, like a lot of the same shit. Now, yes, there was Metallica, but before him, I loved biker stuff. I loved outdoorsy stuff. Like we used to go hunting when I was a kid, right? And I remember when I was a kid, I loved Arnold Schwarzenegger and T2, like that fucking badass leather jacket, the biker. Like I wanted to be that guy, like that was cool.
That
And
was cool. That was like the epitome of fucking cool.
right, like badass leather outfit, and like that's what I wanted to be. And everybody was like, "You want to be James Hetfield?" It's like, no, I want to be Schwarzenegger in T2. Like that's what I want to be. But you get shit on for everything in the music industry. It doesn't matter what you're doing.
Yeah.
But then I started doing the vocals. Now, since the only practice I had was with Metallica, yeah, I had a lot of his traits. So I get it. Like it looks like, hey, you want to do this thing. Plus, I like the Explorer guitar, which I always have liked when I was a little kid. I loved the Gibson Explorer, the little red one. I remember having a pin my dad gave me. I don't know where the hell he got it, but he just gave it to me. I was like, oh, that's cool. To me, that was a guitar. That was before I even knew what James Hetfield played or anything. But moving on back to the initial question there. I think my sophomore year, we found In Flames. It was 99. So the Colony album was out. And I remember hearing that and immediately fell in love with that band, man. It was like, this is cool. This is better than Metallica. Like that's where that went. Like, wow.
Yeah.
And I hated the vocals at first too. And then I started to like really listen to it and I was like, no, this is cool. There's something going on here. And that's where I got tired of being considered James Hetfield. And I was like, I'm going to do that or a combination of that. Right. So that's how I kind of started molding my own voice, was with those two influences at that time. And it took a long time to figure out what that voice was. It took a long time, but I finally did. So
yeah, you did.
Yeah, I finally figured it out. And I'm still actually figuring it out too, because there's stuff I want to do that we haven't done yet. So
you will. You already know you will.
Yeah. It scares me every time that I'm that kid again. Every time we do a new record or something, man, it's like the vocals come around and I'm like, I'm sweaty. I get nervous. The adrenals start. I'm thinking about it right now, and it's happening. I'm like, oh God, like if I have to sing or something, I'm like, hey guys, was that okay? Like, oh, that's cool. Keep doing that.
Yeah, no, like encouragement goes a long way. Like if you're, as a vocalist too, like if
no, phenomenal.
Like there's how you feel about how you sound, and then there's what they feel. And if they're giving you that look, like, holy shit, that's fucking awesome. Like, yeah, that, like, do that. It's like the most like incredible feeling ever. Like when you're getting validated by other people's opinion of your voice. Cause we're always going to be like, so sometimes you're like, okay, yeah, that sounds pretty good. Like, I think I'm on the right track here. But then sometimes it's like, man, this is fucking awful. I don't ever want to do this. But then, they're telling you, no, that's fucking sweet. Like, that's keep doing that. It's like, oh, thank you. Like,
thank God.
Like that makes such a difference. Like,
yeah, and it also, like, when you're trying to phone it in, they can tell,
right? Yeah,
they let you know, like,
you're not quite hitting it today.
Yeah, everything all right at home? No,
yeah,
no, I forgot. You're phenomenal, dude. Like, really phenomenal. I listened to your stuff when you put it out, and I was like, whoa, I didn't expect that. Honestly, I was like, wow, that's really good.
You're ridiculous, like, Miles.
Why?
I appreciate it, man. I do.
No, yeah, I was like, damn, I didn't know Marcus had that in him. It's really good, man. So, really good.
Another thing I gotta eventually get done. I got those two simultaneous solo albums going on that I've been working on since 2013, and
nice.
Like one of them has been like 90% done for 3 years now, and then like the other one is maybe like 45% done. And like I like for a little bit there during COVID, actually, like 2020 and 2021, like I was putting out a new song like every month. I was like finally like finishing old songs. I was doing new songs, and like I was like amped up for it. And then I just like
I remember.
Haven't done anything in 3 years now, almost. And I'll get to it. I want to. Obviously, I want to finish. It's just, life.
Yeah. Are you still working with John on that stuff?
I mean, I was at the time because we were living together, and
Okay.
um, I think that's kind of part of what happened is like when they moved up to Seattle temporarily, and I moved out and all that. Like, I just I don't know, just stopped, and like I don't know, like because him and I have always had like a weird um like when we create music together, it's just magic. Like it's like we like no matter what it is that we try to do, like it just works. Like it's that thing, and you don't
The
have it
thing.
with everybody. And but sometimes he like he made it known a long time ago that like he doesn't want to do music like that. Like, and I don't mean like as far as genre, I mean like he just doesn't want to make his life music again because he already kind of like did that for a decade. And
Well,
so it's like he's done it to like help me out and stuff, but you know,
yeah, I know. I've seen a lot of guys get hurt by dreams.
right,
The thing is, man, it's like it can't be a dream. You have to make it a reality for your own. Like, so whatever level of success you achieve, you have to be ready to be okay with whatever that is, not expecting somebody to come in and elevate you to a level. You have to put yourself up there first before anybody's going to look at you, man. And
right,
like, I get it. I've seen a lot of musicians go like, yeah, man, we made it, we got signed, and then they dropped us, and then you quit. That's what happened, right? After, because they got picked up, and then it fell apart on them, and it sucks. I knew a guy, he owned a vape shop, and I would go in there and talk to him, and he got picked up in 2002. His band did, and they had him plastered. Remember Wow Music?
oh yeah, I actually have a bag from there before they closed down.
Yeah. Well, remember they used to take whatever the artist was and plaster them all over that store.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he had that going on where it was here and California and going on like they were getting ready to go on a big tour. Well, Time Warner signed him. And God, I can't remember the name of the band. He told me twice, just don't remember the name of the band. I would tell you and be like, go look it up. This is what happened. But basically, they shelved him because the industry turned over after 2004. Remember, it went metal.
Yep.
Well, they were doing the old program. When the industry shifted over to the new program, they just said, hey, look, we're not. He said they were in the middle of a studio session, and these two suits came in, talked to the engineer while they were recording drums, and he saw the engineer get up and leave the room. And they were like, the band was looking at each other because they were doing live drum sessions.
Right.
And like, what's going on? They're like, I don't know. Well, the guys got on the mic, said, hey, we need everybody to come in here. You've been in a big recording studio, have you?
Yeah, relatively.
Okay. I'm just at because not a lot of people have had that experience where you're on the sound stage and then you've got a little speaker that talks to you sometimes, or your headphones, right? So anyway, they told them to go in the room, and they all sat down and said, hey, look, this is the last day. We're not going to be moving forward with this project. So I want to thank everybody for your time, and we'll see you later. And that was it. They shelved them. But my point is, if that's what you're betting on, then yeah, you're going to be disappointed. Nobody's breaking it. Our generation is probably the last generation of musicians that's really had that. We're going to fucking get signed and it's going to be good, because it's not like that.
No, and I kind of saw that happening, like when I was in high school, as I graduated in 05, and like music was always something I wanted to do, but I could see even then it was like probably not going to be a viable option, like realistically.
Right.
And so that, for what, like 8 years, I always wanted to do music, but like I wanted to do other things revolving around music, and I just didn't know like what to do or how to do it. So, you know, like that whole thing, like, what do you want to do when you grow up? And it's like, I don't fully know yet, but I'll
Right.
let you know when I do. And uh, when the Z Rocker thing happened, that's kind of like what put me in the direction of, okay, like I can do something music related, and you know
Yeah.
that set me on the path of everything. So like, um, you know, like I'll always give Steffi and Z Rocker credit for doing that for me. You know, like giving me my first opportunities to do interviews and go to concerts and like all of those things. You know, and so like when I started AudioVein, you know, like I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. I didn't have anyone to help me.
Right.
How do I go about doing these things? How do I set up an interview? How do I set up going to a show and having a photographer? Like I don't know those things, and so like everything I've done from day one of AudioVein was just literally me winging it, figuring it out, and trying and failing, and you know, and then eventually getting there. So,
Yeah. That dude. I got a fact for you, man. But that's really hard to do, and that's really impressive. That's really impressive, bro. Like just starting from ground up. You know, I don't know a lot of guys who do that. You know, by themselves either. Like that's the scarier part. You're on your own. So I think that's really fucking badass.
it was. I don't like. I was so motivated because it wasn't just Xerocker. Like when I left them, it was because I don't know if you know Big Mexican. Um, he was
Big Mac.
yeah, Big Mex Isaac.
Yeah.
Um, him and I used to be friends, and when I was kind of falling out with Xerocker, he had wanted me to join him for he had Volume 11 going on. Um, so it was like I was leaving them to go to him, but then we had like a really big falling out before I even did one article for him. And so like I was like double pissed. And I was like, fuck, like
Yeah.
I know I don't want to do Vegas Rocks magazine. Me and Z
No.
Rocker aren't like on the we're not seeing eye to eye anymore. I'm not doing volume 11 because fuck that guy now. So I was like, what do I do? And I sat on it for like, you know, like a good couple weeks. And then finally I was like, I can do it. Like, I'll do it. Fuck it. I'll do it.
Yeah.
I'll create my own thing and I'll figure this out somehow. And here we are, you know, like it's been a
That's cool.
journey, but,
Oh, Vegas is rough, man. I consider this place like the stomping grounds because people are not nice here. If you fuck up,
yeah,
they are not nice.
no.
That you are
And
fucked.
that whole thing of, you know, everyone knowing everyone, especially in the music scene there, it's like, if you fuck people over, you're pretty much that's it. Like you're not gonna get another shot at anything. So
Yeah.
yeah, Vegas is its own special kind of hell in a way.
Yeah. No, it's gate kept like a son of a bitch out here. Like if they can't if you're not willing to work with people, you have to do it on your own somehow.
Yeah.
Right? You found that out, you know.
Mm-hmm.
That's the biggest problem. Like I grew up out here, so I kind of knew that. So it's like, okay, I don't really I see what's happening over there, but I really don't want to be involved in it at all. Like Mynas, you've noticed Mynas doesn't really get involved with a whole lot here locally,
Right.
and that's not because we don't like the local scene. Yes,
Um,
sir.
so as you were saying, you were talking about, you know, how Vegas is very clicky
Oh yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
yeah, I so that was another thing. Like when I stepped away and forged my own path, I had no friends along the way as far as like the magazine scene or whatever, you know, like now the musicians on the other hand, that was different, you know, like I
The,
had you guys from the beginning, and so on and so forth.
The thing about Vegas is it's very competitive, man. People see you as a threat if you're doing the same thing for some reason. I don't know why. Even the metal bands are like that. I don't know why. It's just really weird. Like trying to get two bands to work together in this town is a pain in the balls, man.
It's weird, right? It's like everyone's got the same goal, right? I mean, like, shouldn't we be
right.
doing this together,
Right.
you know?
Well, here's the thing. Like, we did meet a couple of bands and we tried working with them, but they fell apart after a few months too. Like, nobody really in this town has really had the longevity of Mynas, with the exception of like Hemlock, who's still around and they tour nationally. And then who else? There's like a few other bands like Vatican Falling, Dustin Allen's project. He's got that. It's been going probably about as long as we've been going.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just like
Circus
it's rough.
but they've had so many lineup changes that, other than James, like, is it Circus Sick at this point? And it's not talking shit. It's like no. he's still trying. He's still trying to keep it going, but like.
See, now you just made another. That's a Vegas thing too, where you're like, I'm not talking shit. Like, you have to tell somebody you're not talking shit if you talk about somebody in this town. Like, hey, have you seen so and so? Yeah, I haven't seen them in a while. Not talking shit, but I just saw them over at the blah blah blah. It didn't look like they were doing too well.
Right.
Like, you can't do that here, because next thing you know, they're so and so saying this about you. It's like,
he said that you're a nobody. Like, is that what I said? That's not what I said.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Everything's taken out of context. You just can't. This place is weird. It's such a weird town.
It is. So tell us how Mynas started coming together, or were there any like other serious projects that you had before Mynas?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I have this hard time differentiating Mynas between the stuff I was doing before, because the material that ended up in Mynas was the refined versions of the stuff I'd started before. So like all of Fear the Slave was written, not all of it, the majority of Fear the Slave was stuff that I'd worked on either directly after high school or like 10 years before the band even really got put together.
Okay.
And like, that's the reason why I have a hard time discerning where Mynas begins and moves forward. If you ask the other guys, it's like 2014, they did the record, but if you ask me, it's like, well, I did the same record because we had a version of mine, like Mynas 1.0, that I tried to start back in 2009, where it kind of like did one of these little, like, here's the band. Nope, it's gone. Like, it fell apart after 2.5 years, basically, which is fine, no big deal. It's hard to find players, it's like this band demands that you're, like, if you're going to be in a band with me, it's like you're in the band, right? And you're going to play and you're going to write music with me and you're going to want to do it. If you don't want to do it, then leave. Like, that's always been my attitude. So it's like, when people didn't want to do it, like, I've never kicked a guy out of a band for sucking unless he and I just did this the whole time. Like, like, that's never happened. And every musician I've played with before, like, once they leave, they fucking hate me afterwards for a time, for one reason or another. They're like, I've been called controlling, which, I guess you could say I'm controlling, but I'm really not. I'm more like, hey, we're rehearsing every week. That's what we do.
And like, when it comes to being in a band, especially if you're even remotely kind of being serious about it, someone has to. It's not even necessarily being a leader. It's like someone's got to be the head of it and like keeping it together. And like it's a business. And even if you're doing it for fun, you still got to like be punctual and like you got to care. And if you're not doing those things, then they ain't gonna work. That's not controlling. That's like what it has to be in order to exist. So I get it.
Yeah, biggest part. Everybody wants to fuck around. So like, Mynas really, like, 2013. So I had that first version of Mynas. We started in 2009. 2013, the drummer quit. The guitarist that was in the band good friend of mine, he ended up just he got really depressed and just got dove into alcohol head first and kept going. And I couldn't drag him out of it. And, it just turned into it. Like it was too much weight to carry in 20. Like by that point, I was tired of trying to carry him. I felt bad doing this. I didn't even, so he was in this version of Mynas for a short period of time. Like the drummer quit in 2013. I hung out up. I wasn't going to do anything with music anymore. And Mark Bizarre, the bassist, he hit me up and just wanted to jam. And I was like, that's cool. Come on over. We'll jam. We'll just do something. Right. And we were just hanging out. I had I got my studio here, which was pretty much a laptop at that point. And we started kind of like messing around. I was looking at all these songs and I was like, hey, man, what if I do these songs the way I want to do them, the way I've always wanted to do them. And we just put this out. And he was like, that's a cool idea. And then we're done with it. We just hang it up, right? 2014, finish it, be done with it. And I told Dean, it's like, hey, man, look, all I want to do is just finish these songs and be done with it. He's like, okay, sounds good. So 2014, I start recording these songs. And Dean stopped showing up more and more. It went from like, hey, man, you're playing guitar tracks. This is what we're recording. My biggest problem, Marcus, it doesn't matter what we're doing. If we're going to go out to eat, I'm going to be there at the time and we're going to go out to eat and there's the thing and it's going to happen. If we're going to go shooting, we're actually target practicing. We're not just pissing in the wind, right? So that's always been fun for me to like take something serious and have a discipline at it. And there's not very many personalities like that. I've come to find out in my old age. Yeah. It's like there's guys like you and me, and then there's the rest of the world. They go to work, they go home, and they eat cheesy poofs. And Dean, my buddy here, he lost interest in everything and just wanted to go eat cheesy poofs is the way I looked at it. So we got close to finishing the album and he was supposed to record solos on it. And for some reason, I kind of put the brakes on it. And Mark and I used to play in a Metallica cover band back in 2006 to 2007. We did that for fun for a while. And I was like, hey, dude, what if we did that again? And he's like, yeah, it'd be kind of cool. And like 2 years earlier, I messaged Jeff Fritz, like, just to see what he had going on. I wanted to see if he wanted to come in and play with me. And he said, no, but if you ever do a Metallica thing again, I'd be interested. And I was like, well, let's hit him up. And Jeff came in and we started doing this Metallica thing with our buddy Mike Fitzgerald. Well, I didn't realize how good Jeff was at the guitar. I just thought he was like, the cover band guy. So sitting in the Metallica sessions, like learning the songs with him, it was like, wow, this guy's very proficient player. Like when you, dude, I've had so many auditions with people. I could tell you stories about that too if you want to hear them because they're fucking hilarious. A few of them, but it's like you just know, like when you can play with someone proficiently, it's like magic. It's like somebody just turned the magic on, and that's how it was with Jeff, Mark, and myself, and even Mike Fitzgerald. We felt like this magic with him, and we played a few of the Metallica cover shows. But I was like, I need to get I want to play live with these guys. Like I want to, it's like a new spark of inspiration to play with them. I was like, I want to see if they want to do this stuff. So I shot Jeff and Mike the material for Fear the Slave, and they listened to it, and they both like really liked it. Jeff was real standoffish, man. He was like, I don't know, maybe we'll see. Okay, I'll do a couple of the solos. And then he came in and did all of the solos on the record, which I was so happy about. And I had Mike come in and help with the drums and stuff. So that's kind of like how that whole thing came together. The most heartbreaking portion of it was when, I've been working with these guys already and I had to call up my buddy and be like, hey man, I haven't seen you in 3 months. I know you're drunk. I've been trying to pull you out of this thing. I'm just gonna have to, you got to go and do your own thing, man. You can't be a part of this." And he fucking hates me to this day for it. He hates it. He hates me, and I feel so bad. But it's like sometimes you got to cut your losses. It's like, dude, as a friend, I'll be there for you, but you have to let me in. I can't keep kicking the door open.
Yeah.
As a professional, I can't have you around. I'm not bringing you into this group anymore. Like, you need to go do your own thing. So, it burned down, and then it became what it is now, where, fuck, dude, I didn't realize like it would be a thing. It was kind of easy for us to get back out there. Like, people would show up to the shows and stuff, which I thought was really cool. First time,
Yeah. Now, how did Mauricio come into the fold?
Right. Yeah. So we released Fear the Slave in 2015. And again, we weren't really taking Mynas that seriously. It was like, hey, man, release the stuff. Would you guys be down to play a couple of shows? And you saw us in October, I think, with Goat Whore of 2015, right? So we played that show, and then we played in November. We did like a First Friday thing, and January rolled around. It was like really cool that we were all playing together, but Mike had to leave. He wasn't really in a good spot in his life to be in Mynas. It was just too much for him. He had personal things going on, so he had to leave. And I was like, all right, cool. Well, that was fun. Let's hang it up. Fuck it. We had a good time. We had a good run. And Jeff and I were still like BSing about writing more stuff, and he said, "Hey, man, what if we just get a drummer and we like really give it a shot?" And I was like, "You want to give it? You want me to get us a drummer?" He goes, "Well, I mean, I can help too." I was like, "No. If you want me to get a drummer, I'll get a drummer, but we're going to do this, right?" And he's like, "Yeah, I mean, yeah, we'll do it." And I'm like, "All right, cool." Because I don't like bringing people in on bullshit. Bands can be bullshit. And I put an ad out on Craigslist. Mark put an ad out on Craigslist, and it read real stiff, like, serious band. We want to do this, want to go on tour, and all this stuff. And I'm like, I've seen lots of bands do that. It's the most intimidating shit in the world. You're like, I don't want to talk to these guys. And we weren't getting any hits. So I rewrote the ad to be a little bit more laid back, like, humble metal band looking for drummer, influenced by blah, blah, blah. Come hit us up if you're interested in checking it out. Like, it was real simple. Like, here, left it anonymous, and I got all kinds of hits. I mean, all kinds. I got guys playing fucking like just country music, like everything. I would like to, I'd send them the song, and they would want to come and try out anyway. I'm like, I'm not wasting anybody's time.
Yeah.
And Mauricio just so happened to send a video link of him playing his electric drum kit. And we couldn't even hear it, but I could see, like, I could barely hear the music, but I could see him playing. And I was like, he's the guy. That's the guy right there, man. Yeah. And the rest is history. Like, I feel bad because I told Mike when he left, I was like, you do realize if you leave, you can't come back, right? Like, I hate to do that to you. I know you got stuff going on. Are you sure you don't want to do an extended break from this project? And he said, no, man, I just don't want to hold you guys back. I don't know how long I'm going to have to take. I said, okay, all right, that's fine. And we got Mauricio, and he's family now. He's in the band. He's, he came in, and we've got 2 records with him. And sorry, Mike. We're still friends with Mike. We all talk. Mauricio's friends with him too.
Okay.
We all talk. So, like, that's cool. That's kind of how Mauricio got in. Is Mike stepped out, and we put that ad out. And Mauricio came in, and he fucking just dug in and learned everything.
Yeah, Mauricio's such a good drummer. Like, he's so good.
Yeah, he's very good. Dude, I play with a lot of drummers. He is the best drummer I've ever played with. He's up there with like anybody's favorite drummers.
Yeah.
He's like really good. And he's creative. There's a lot of musicians that aren't creative, man. They can play, but they just don't have anything here to project, you know. It's like, it's nuts. So
Now I know for a little bit, Jeff was gone.
right. Yeah.
Now
That was rough.
And you just said, you know, like if someone leaves, you know, normally they don't come back, right? So what happened? Like, was it just stuff in his life, or was it like something bad, or was it just?
Yeah. It was combinations of things, man. It's like we just released the album. We had a tour set coming up, and he wasn't ready to go on the road, man. It was like one of those things where it's like we're going to do the thing, and we kind of had like a little bit of a falling out because we did an out of town gig, and it was just kind of like a real head-butting thing going on, and we ended up having to come home early from the gig, and he just couldn't go on the tour. So we're like, if you can't go on the tour, then you're out of the band. Like, we got pissed, right? Because we had everything, we had our bags packed, we were getting ready to go on the tour in like a month and a half, and he couldn't go. So we all kind of got mad at him. We're like, all right, you're out of the fucking band then. Like, did one of those numbers. So yeah, are we dickheads? Probably, but we had to go on tour. Like, that's part of.
Yeah, like you're making that step. You know, it's like, okay, like.
Yeah. Yeah, so here's the thing. If you don't go out on the road at least once, nobody takes you seriously. It's like, have you ever been on tour? No. Oh, so you're local.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like, so, okay. So we had to get somebody to come in and play, man, and it was just so fucking heartbreaking. Like, it was really hard for me because I can play with Jeff very comfortably as a guitarist. It's very difficult to find that. Like, he and I can get on stage, play together, and not miss a note together. And he covers me, I cover him when we fuck up. It's just perfect, right? Same with Mark and Maurice. We all cover each other. Like, we have that chemistry when we play.
Yeah.
It's really relaxed. Like, we are as relaxed as we look when we're playing, you know, like, it's just, we're having a good time. So we had to find somebody to come in, and we got, Kevin Bolzano, phenomenal fucking player. Very good. And we rushed him in, man. It was like, you know, we're going. And he learned everything as fast as he could. But, you know, we took him out on tour and everything, and we came back, and the vibe wasn't there the way it was with Jeff. And I feel like, you know, like there's some part of it where it's like musically, I feel like we rushed him in too fast and we didn't adapt to him. He didn't get a chance to adapt to us. And it was like, we need you to be up here right now. And it was like, okay, you're 90% there. That's not going to be good enough for us when we go do some of this stuff. And it was a mess, man. I feel bad for that too, because like we kicked Jeff out, we bring this guy in, we kicked him out, like we're just frantically just trying to hold our shit together.
Yeah.
Because at that point the band could have just fell apart and it would have been done for all of us, right? So like we all felt like, hey, the dream's happening, because when we came back, we got the In Flames show. We got the call like immediately. Hey, do you want to open for In Flames? And we're like, yeah, that's a bucket list call, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we were like, yeah, let's fucking do that. How can we get the rehearsal? Like, we had to do it all in this time period. And it was like, you know what, man, Jeff, do you want to do this? Yeah. Okay, cool. And then he just came back, but he didn't want to be in the band. That was the other thing. He's like, I'm not going to be in the band. I'm just going to come play. I was like, all right, cool. Come play. Like, we'll just do this thing. Like, we'll see what the fuck happens. Like, Jeff didn't officially rejoin the band until after 2020.
Okay.
we don't talk about that too much. Like Jeff, I don't know, this is like, I probably shouldn't even be saying that shit. It's like just the stuff that,
you don't have to. You don't got to go there if you don't want to.
yeah, I just, I like talking about it. It's our story. I don't know if the other guys in the band would get upset because I'm talking about it. It's like, why Jeff get kicked out? Well, he's got personal stuff and we kind of got mad about it. That's it. I feel like that's all I can really say, but he's here and he's with us, it's like he's one of us.
Mynas is you four guys, and it's pretty much been that for the majority of the band. So it's, you take one element out of it and it's a replacement,
yeah. That's the thing, man. It's like nothing against anybody who comes in and plays with us. If any one of us leaves, it's like it's not the same band anymore. It's like, hey man, the vibe's gone. Do something else.
Now, what was the songwriting like for albums 2 and 3?
Oh man,
I know. Okay. I know one thing. When you guys do your rehearsals and your songwriting, that's serious fucking business. I've been there to watch it.
yeah, we're in it. Fuck, man. 2 was really cool because we wrote all the songs kind of like in the rehearsal room and then into the computer and then back in the rehearsal room. Like we did this jump back and forth. And I think it was a hell of a lot. It was like really inspiring. Plus, we'd never really written together. It'd only been Mark and I writing together. So it was like we got to write with Mauricio and Jeff got to write too. And it was like this real magical thing. That's when it was like, oh, this is fucking magic that's happening here. It's not just some bullshit. And it was just really, it's just really powerful. But it took us probably a year to write that record.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it shows. I mean, and not that Fear the Slave is bad in any kind of way, because it's not. But like you can tell the difference in like the cohesion of the first one and the second one. It's like, whoa, like now like that's Mynas right there. Like that's the band.
Right. Well,
like, I mean, it's kind of like Kill 'Em All to Ride the Lightning. Really, it's like here's the spark and here's the fucking tree. Like this is,
Yeah. No, there's definitely like hey, here's the record, and then there's this change that like on the next one you definitely hear it, and it's because the other 2 guys came in and it was like, hey, let's do this, and like, what if we did that? And like Mauricio's always got an idea. He's like, hey, what if we did a song like this? Like, that's a good idea. Like, I like that. Or Jeff will come in and we'll just play, and all of a sudden he'll start playing a riff out of nowhere, and we go, what the fuck is that? And he goes, what do you mean? I'm like, the thing you played. Like,
I was just fucking around, right? It's that thing. I got a riff,
yeah. But he's always, it's just messing around. I was serious about it. I was like, well, that was a good riff. We're going to use that. So,
yeah. You unintentionally wrote our next masterpiece,
Yeah. He does it all the time, man. But now writing the third album was a little bit, it had some challenges because we wrote it all in the box. We didn't do it in the jam room. So I want to say it was a lot more focused on the writing, on like what direction we were going with the music, but it was all on the computer. So like all of the demos and stuff were done in the computer, and then we just kind of like took that and went, okay, here's the thing, we've got the layout, this is what the songs sound like. So we really kind of got to hear them first before we got to really go like, yeah, here's the song. So it's like 2 totally different processes that we did. I'm not sure how we're going to do the next one. Like right now, I've got a list behind me of like 20 to 30 different tracks that could be songs and shit that's all over the place. And I don't know what we're going to do. It's a lot. I'm a little overwhelmed because we've got like 2 different directions that, well, no, 3 now, 3 different directions that the next album could potentially go.
Mm-hmm.
one of them's got like more orchestral and stuff like that.
Fuck yeah.
You know, yeah, some of that. Like, so we got some of those programs. It's like when I have like violins and shit. It's like that's really cool. Yeah, I don't know. It's just different every time, man. We might. I know we're talking about doing an EP this year. Like, we're definitely going to release something. Might release a couple of the tracks. So it was like one song we always played live back in the day, and then we just kind of got rid of it. So I was like messing around with the idea of bringing Inhuman back as one of the tracks, and then Moments of War didn't make it onto Fear the Slave when we did the re-release. The reason why it didn't is because when I went into the old program to pull up the track, I forgot that I recorded it because I was learning. I recorded it in like 4 parts and then glued them together during the mastering process, and I couldn't find all 4 of the parts. I was like, "There's no fucking way I'm re-recording all this shit right now," and I just kind of left it off. And I was like entertaining that with the guys, and we're talking about doing a re-release of those tracks. But we also have other stuff, and we're also shooting music videos for all the violence tracks too. So, I mean, that's kind of what we're working on, right? We're always working on something. It's always like super laborious, and it always comes out badass. That's all I know. Like,
yeah, you just did you just shot a new video, what, 2 days ago? Yesterday, day before, something like that, 3 days ago? This week?
yeah. So, yeah, I love social media. You have to post it over and over again, otherwise nobody sees it. So, yeah, we started shooting the video at the end of November. We got in shooting at the beginning of December. Everybody got super sick with whatever the fuck swept the valley through here. And then the holidays showed up. So we basically spent a third of December not doing anything. And then we got 8 hours of shooting done at the very beginning of January. And then here we are last weekend. We just finished it. We finished off the shooting. But then now Mauricio is going to edit the whole thing. So that's probably going to take another 3 weeks. So, and then we'll, like, when he's finished editing it, then we'll announce a release date. So we've got like this time of ramping it up, like we got a new video, and then we're going to start shooting another one probably tomorrow. So we're just going to keep going.
You said you're doing a video for every song on violence?
That's the goal. We'll see what happens, man. Like, that's what we want to do. We always aim really high too. So it's like, hey, we should do a music video for everything. So if we get 4 done, I'll be happy.
4 is a good number.
Yeah, 4 is good. 4 songs, 4 videos. Anyway.
So you did the one gig with In Flames, right?
Oh yeah.
And then what was it in 2019 or 2021 even? You did one with Dark Tranquillity.
Dark Tranquillity was.
I'm really pissed I missed that show too. Like, I think it was work or something, but that was like one of those. I'm going to that, and I couldn't go.
No, you're fine. Actually, all right, dude. So, actually, Dark Tranquillity, I think, was 2016. To be honest, that was like real early. Yeah, like if you look at our stuff, it's like you can look at where they're at. Like you'll see, oh yeah, they played with Dark Tranquillity. But yeah, that was like a holy shit. We're playing with Dark Tranquillity. Nobody else knew who they were but me. In the band, they were like, "Who?"
Jesus Christ!
I think Mauricio knew who they were, but nobody else did. It was like, man, that's one of my.
Yeah, they're excellent.
Yeah,
excellent band.
Yeah. Really good band. Them and Soilwork, like I love Soilwork. Yeah, Children of Both.
Soilwork is on my bucket list. So, like, it's weird. Some of the bands, because I've seen so many bands live, right?
Oh yeah.
I've seen In Flames, I don't know, 5 times or something. Seen Dark Tranquillity twice. Seen At the Gates twice. I've seen.
Oh man.
Seen Carcass twice.
Dude.
I've seen Arch Enemy. I've seen Omnium Gatherum. Like, tons of those kind of bands, right? I have not seen Soilwork, and they're the one I want to see the most. Like,
yeah. Here's the thing. I didn't start appreciating soil work until Mike Fitzgerald like really pointed him out to me. He's like, dude, you got to check out soil work. And I was like, I listened to the one album that came out in like the late '90s, early 2000s, like right around the Clayman era. And I was so infatuated with In Flames and Opeth and Children of Bodom and, God, At the Gates, like Dark Tranquillity, like all these bands. It's like, okay, soil work. And I was like, now these other bands are better, like you're still at that point. Now I love them. I'm like, man,
Soul work, man, they've gotten better and better and better and better. Like, just like they're so fucking good now. Like, and not that they like their early shit. Like, you go back and listen to it, it's like it's just good, solid melodic death metal. But like once they like found their sound, and then just grew from there, like, God, they're so good.
Yeah, they're very good band. But, yeah, I feel like I missed out.
So you're thinking about an EP, and then you're also working on album 4 slowly but surely. You got ideas rolling. Orchestra stuff. I mean, that sounds fucking badass. Even if it's just for one song, like, or a couple songs, like, just I'm excited about that aspect.
Yeah, so we might do that as the EP. We'll see. Like, it just depends. Like, how albums have to be thematic. That's the other thing too. It's like, why don't we just release a bunch of singles and EPs and then release it as one body of work at the end? Like, hey, build up, and then leave out the key elements for the album. Like, oh, there's all this other shit on the album, right? Like, I don't know. I mean, there's just so many ways you can do it. There's no wrong way to do it anymore. It's just do it.
Yeah.
The other thing is like getting people to listen to it is the hardest thing. It's like, you gotta. I'm starting to understand how to use social media now, even though I've been using it for 12 or 13 plus years. It's like, I get it. You just have to be very vain and self-absorbed and post all the time about what you're doing.
Yeah.
Even if it's the same thing, which is, God, it's so hard for me to do. I have a real difficult time. Hey, look, we shot a music video. Look, we shot a music video,
For like 2 weeks straight.
Yeah, we shot a music video.
Yeah, I understand. I'm pretty much a one and done, like I'll post something and like I'm in that same, like I don't mind posting stuff, but I don't like repeat posting. I don't like over and I just because I know what I'm like as a consumer, as a fan of stuff. Like, I don't want to see the same shit over and over and over again. So why would I do that? But that's not how social media works.
No. Well, that's how us metalheads are. We don't like to fucking saturate things with bullshit, for one, and two, we don't want to overstate. But the problem is not everybody saw it. Whoa, and they're not. Most people aren't hunting you down to find out. You've got to keep them in the loop, man. It's rough. It's real rough. As much as we want people knocking at the door all the time, hey, what are you doing?
So one other thing, especially if you're talking about an EP, would Mynas ever record a cover song?
Oh, that's a rough one. That is a rough one, man. Like, we've talked about it. Some of us are on board with it. Some of us aren't on board with it. That's been a debate in the band a couple of times. I've brought it up, or somebody has. It's like, yeah, let's do it, all four of us, and then the next week rolls around, we're like, yeah, I don't think so, man. No. But it feels kind of like a sellout move. Like, if we do, I think it would have to be something where it's like real, like,
it depends on.
Yeah, it would really have to, like, I hate to say this, I'm kind of an asshole for this, but when I see a band post a cover song, the first thing I think is they're trying to get views.
Yeah.
They're only doing that for views. All right, I'm going to listen to it. And then I listen to it and I'm like, yeah, they did it for views. This is horrible. Like, this is really bad. So yeah, we don't want that. We want people to like go, hey, Mynas is doing something. Let's go check it out. Not, oh, hey, Mynas did something. Yay.
Yeah.
You know,
What
who cares?
what would be a couple like let's just say not even just for Minus, but just for you personally, like what's a song that you would like to cover?
Ooh, me? Oh God. Well, I like House of the Rising Sun. I think that'd be a cool one. Metalize that. I think that'd be cool. I think it's been done recently though, or over the past 5 years. God, that's kind of an on the spot question to ask because when I'm at work, I can think of a couple. Like, oh, that'd be a cool song. I'm a fan of the idea of taking something outside of genre and bringing it in.
Yeah.
Like Metallica did it fantastic. You know, when they did all the Damage Inc. stuff, like they did a really cool thing. I was like, oh, that's cool. I probably want to do something like that. Not because they did it, but because that's smart bringing it in. And that seems to be a trend I've noticed lately too, with people doing like the Chris Isaac tunes and stuff. Like that's
Right.
In Flames did it, and then I've noticed a lot of other guys doing it. I'm like, yeah, those are good songs. Like Blue Monday, remember when that was done? Who did that one?
Orgy.
Orgy. Yeah, it was like a cool cover, man.
And that's one of those, you know, like half the people know that it's a cover and half the people don't. You know, they're like, oh, that's my favorite Orgy song. You know, and it's like, but they did it so well. You know, like when you listen to the original, it's like it's a good song by itself. You know, but like it sounds like a demo for what Orgy did with it. It's like that's how it's supposed to sound. You know,
right?
And that's what's cool is when a cover does that. You know, like when it's like, oh, like you hear the original and then you hear the cover and you're like, man, like that's
what they're trying to do.
What you just said with Metallica, like when they did Turn the Page, you know, it's like so good, you know, like it sounds like they wrote it, you know. And Bob Seger's version is great, you know, but Metallica just like gave it that little extra.
Yeah, the power it needed to be. Yeah, he wrote it and it sounds real like sounds tired.
Yeah.
Like he nails that I've been on the road, I'm ragged, I'm tired sound. Metallica sounds a little bit happier to be on the road than he did.
Just a little.
Yeah, man. I don't know. Yeah, that's a hard one for me, man. It's like I would love to one of my favorite songs that I fucking hated when I first heard it is So What.
All right. So what?
Like, so what? Like I liked the song so much that I had to find out who wrote it and listen to it. And I like the original version. And then I see what Metallica did with it. I'm like, that's pretty fucking brilliant, man. They just took it to the next level. You know, it's like I would love to cover that song just because it's so offensive in all the right ways.
Exactly. Fuck yeah, man. Well, Miles, we're gonna cut it down here now.
All right, bud.
For now, we'll talk again in the near future.
Sounds good.
We'll catch up on some more stuff. But you already know I'm excited for whatever you're going to release, whether it's an EP or a new album or whatever, because you guys are just fucking killer. So
thanks, bro. I really appreciate the love, man.
Hopefully you guys make it over this way, you know?
Yeah, I'd like to get out of here sometime.
All right, dude. Appreciate your time. Love you a lot.
Love you, brother. Hey, have a good night.
Absolutely.
Call me soon.
Absolutely, man. Take care.
Later.